Hi, everyone. It's Sheena Hansen with Uncommon Sense Investing coming at you again with our frequently asked questions series. And today I'm going to be talking about a question that I get asked almost every day, which is, should I roll over my 401k? Now, whenever you become inactive with an employer, you will have an option as to what to do with your dormant retirement plan. So let's go over those options. If you're no longer working for your employer, maybe you changed jobs, perhaps you retired, maybe you never worked for that employer. For example, if you get a divorce and maybe part of the settlement, you obtain your spouse's or your ex-spouse's 401k, you are an inactive participant and you have choices as to what you do with that retirement plan. So the most common options are listed here. First of all, you can roll over that plan to an IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on how that money is taxed inside the plan. So the advantages of that would be more investment options, the potential to lower fees. Those are really the two big things that I look at the most. What options are available and what are you paying? Plan consolidation. A lot of people do like to have everything consolidated if possible versus having multiple accounts out there. It does simplify your situation. And of course, there's a potential to obtain more services. 401k plans by nature are somewhat do it yourself. You have to pick your own options and monitor and manage them yourself. And so if you move them to an IRA or a Roth IRA, you do have the ability to get more services from a financial advisor or possibly somewhere that just has a little bit more to offer. You can leave it in the old 401k plan. Typically, you are not kicked out unless there's a very low balance. So you can leave it in the existing plan. You might like that if perhaps the account is performing well, it has good investment options, low fees, and in some instances, you have greater protection from creditors. Again, kind of the drawback on this option is that you have limited control and fewer investment choices. Another option is to move it to your new employer 401k. This is most appropriate if you just had a job change. You can keep all your retirement funds in one place, and you could even have a cost difference if there's institutional pricing on those investment options. But the nature of an employer plan, again, the drawback is having limited investment choices. Finally, you can take a full or partial distribution. Certainly, you need to be careful on this one because there could be taxes or penalties involved if you make a withdrawal. It's nice if you do need access to those funds. And this, like I mentioned before, could be required if there's a low plan balance. But most often for someone who's working for an employer, they've saved, they have a decent balance in there. Oftentimes, they're not going to just cash it out. You're going to be maybe moving it to an IRA or another employer plan, or just simply leaving it where it's at. So actually this here, I wanted to show you, we have to complete a switch form for regulation. So anytime a client goes through the consideration of a rollover, particularly with Uncommon Sense Investing, this is a form that I have to fill out, and these are all the things that I need to discuss with the client. So it really just compares where you're currently at versus what we have to offer on our side. So there could be investment advice and distribution planning, financial planning, or even wealth planning. Those are the services, potentially getting more service by moving it. We have to consider the range of investment options, as well as the potential for penalty-free withdrawals. There is something that is specific to employer plans and 401ks called an in-service distribution. It's possible that if you separate from that employer between the ages of 55 and 59 and a half, that you can take distributions from that plan penalty-free. That is not true if you move it into an IRA. So that's very important for people who might have extra liquidity options in their 401k when they separate from employment in that age range. The availability for plan loans, that is also a unique feature of a 401k. You do not have the ability to take loans on an IRA. Protection from creditors and judgments. I mentioned that earlier, greater protection potentially within a 401k versus an IRA. RMD rules, if that is something that's important to you to monitor when you have to start taking required distributions. Typically that is age 73, but those rules do change if you're still employed. Investing in employer stock, sometimes 401ks have employer stock, and there are special tax considerations that need to be made if you are considering rolling a stock out of an employer plan. This can be called net unrealized appreciation, and we talk about this with clients that have publicly traded stock inside their 401ks. So those are some things that we go through in detail to help clients decide if consolidating and making that rollover would be beneficial for them. And then here, secondary to the plan features are the fees and expenses. So common fees related in your 401k or working with a different custodian or advisor are fees and expenses. So there's typically investment related expenses, potentially administrative fees, fees for service like advice and money management. And so I'll do a side-by-side comparison for someone, what they're paying in the plan versus what they would be paying with us. So that in a nutshell is really what you want to think about if you have a dormant employer plan and if you should roll it over. And if you need help weighing out those options or you want to talk to us directly about that, certainly please be in touch. But I hope you found this video helpful.